Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, your daily fix of football chat on STV. Delighted to have your company, and the main talking points tonight. The draw for the fifth round of the Scottish Cup has been completed at Hampden, and tie of the round, it's Hearts against Hibs. It's an Edinburgh derby at Tynecastle, a mouth-watering prospect indeed. And elsewhere in the news, congratulations to Peter Houston. He's the Championship Manager of the Month, and it's a double at Falkirk. Danny Rogers is the Player of the Month. There's a flare-up at Celtic. 3 supporters have been suspended by the club. And news just in, Lionel Messi is the Ballon d'Or winner for a 5th time, and Carly Lloyd wins the Women's Award. So there's your news right up to date. In the show tonight, we're going to talk about that Scottish Cup 5th round draw in the company of Alan Rough and our bookroom guest Gordon Smith, and delighted to have the two guys alongside me here. Okay, let's cut to the chase, lads. Let's look at the Scottish Cup 5th round draw. It's complete now, and that tie is just screaming out Hearts against Hibs. But as you can see, Motherwell against Stirling Albion or Inverness Caley Thistle, East Kilbride Thistle or Lothian Thistle, Hutchison Vale versus Celtic, Dundee United Partick Thistle, Dunfermline or Ross County against Linlithgow Rose or Forfar, Rangers at home to Kilmarnock, Annan Athletic versus Greenock Morton, it's Dumbarton versus Dundee or Falkirk, and Hearts against Hibs, Ruffy.
Yes, well, the whole city will be buzzing as we speak. It's a fantastic game. I don't think either of the two would have wanted it so early, but having played in 14 derby games, I know what it's like to win them, having not won one. But I do think that it'll be an exciting game. I think all the talk in Edinburgh and in the dressing rooms tomorrow at Hibs and Hearts will be that game.
Yeah, I think the bonus for Hibs is you're not in goal due to that terrible record.
Yeah, horrible record. I didn't lose them all. I think I drew some of them. But no, I think the players will be excited. I think the whole of the city will be really looking forward to it. It just depends whether Hibs can keep their eye on both. They'll be wanting a good cup run and obviously try and get promoted.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Gordon, it is not the tie I wanted to see. I wanted to see both Edinburgh clubs in the latter stages. One of them's going to go, but dare I say it, when you consider the Scottish Cup final, could there be a wee bit of revenge in the air here?
There possibly could be. I mean, but Hearts, I mean, already they got off to a great start in the Cup. I mean, you couldn't have had a much harder game to start with than they had. It was Aberdeen, who are the other form team, they're chasing Celtic. So you need to look at it and say, well, Hearts already had a hard game. The fortunate thing they've got here is it's another home game, and they played very well at the weekend. So, but this will be a cracking match because there's a competition. That the fact it's a derby game adds that a little bit of excitement. So I think it's one that everybody was looking forward to. We were checking out the scorelines from last season when they played each other, and there wasn't much between the teams even then. I mean, they both won one each and drew 2 other ones. So yeah. I think these will be good ties. But all in all, Peter, I think the draw is pretty good. I think in the main there's a lot of very interesting ties there.
I'll tell you one that I'd love to be at, and we'll seriously consider going to it. East Kilbride against Lothian Thistle. Look what's at stake, Ruffy.
Yeah, it'll be a fantastic day for the whole town and the city in Edinburgh with Lothian Thistle. We were discussing it earlier. I think the ideal situation would be to swap that game, to move it to Parkhead. Obviously, revenue is a big thing for the smaller clubs, and if they can get a good crowd at Celtic, it could keep them going for a couple of years. But I don't know the ins and outs of actually transferring that game. But I'm sure that's the first thing they'll be trying to do.
What you said, Peter, is absolutely spot on. You imagine the excitement this game is now going to bring. For these players, I mean, these groups of players who are playing at the level they're at. One is obviously the Southern League, and the other one's a junior team. They're both Lowland League, aren't they? And they're going to be playing against the biggest club in Scotland at the moment. League leaders. You can imagine the nerves that are going to come from that game, and I'd imagine a bit of a crowd will turn out for that one too.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that any of them will be thinking about taking it to Celtic Park. I mean, it's a home tie. Yeah. Whether the grounds meet the regulations of the police and the authorities, I think they might look at it and say, I don't know if they'll be able to move it to an alternate ground where they might be able to increase the revenue.
It's possible, but I mean, the thing about Ruffy's made a good point. I think what happens is, in order to get into the Scottish Cup, you generally have to comply with the licensing regulations, and if you comply with them, that means you play your home games at your own stadium, regardless who you play, because it is a cup and you're bound to draw empty. So I know they would want to play. They're probably disappointed the game's not going to be at Celtic Park, because I can imagine every single one of those players from East Kilbride or Lothian, Thistle that got through would want to be going to Celtic Park to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there's another mouth-watering one. Rangers at home to Kilmarnock. They were impressive against Cowdenbeath. Martin Wycorn with a hat-trick, Ruffy. But this one is a real test for Gary Locke's side.
Yeah, I think every time Rangers come up against a Premier side, that's the first thing everybody says. It's another test, and that's the way he'll look at it. He knows he's going to possibly be in the big league next year, and these are the teams he'll come up against, and that's what the players basically will be trying to do. They'll be comparing themselves against the teams that they're coming up against, and they'll want to do well. They've got another home tie, which is very good. And yeah, I think it'll be good. But I think Kilmarnock on a high of winning at the weekend, particularly away from home. And I think Kilmarnock do have a better performance away from home than what they do at home.
Well, this will be an interesting thing to see the progression of Rangers, because if you look at it, St Johnstone won comfortably against Rangers at Ibrox already this season in the League Cup, and Kilmarnock knocked them out at the weekend. So if you're looking at St Johnstone being a lot better than Rangers were on the night, and Kilmarnock beating them, you're thinking, is this going to be a tough game? But Rangers seem to be progressing. They're playing decent football, and Kilmarnock are not a consistent side, but they are maybe better away from home. So I think that's also a cracking tie.
Yeah, the one worry I have is Ruffy's lost the last 2 seasons' major bet, Gordon, so I've started to take a little bit of pity on him. And I'm going to go for something here. Depends on which way you look at this, but you obviously were well impressed by Martin Wycorn. I think he's an absolute shoe-in for Player of the Year in that division. He's banging in goals for fun. Ruffy, you think he's going to get 40 goals this season?
Yeah, I noticed this morning he was talking about it. I think he was trying to get an Ali McCoy's record. I do think the way that Rangers are scoring 4, 5 and 6 goals against some of the smaller clubs, that he's got a chance. He also takes the penalties as well.
Yep.
He's scored, I think, 10 already. So I think he's got a great chance. And the way Rangers are playing just now, they're creating lots of chances and scoring lots of goals.
Okay, so you're going for 40.
Yeah, I feel confident the boy will get 40.
Okay, and this is obviously a counter because I've said John Baird will score 25, and you're worried about that now because he's on 15.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fair bet. So I'm going to say Martin Wycorn, although he's clearly on a brilliant goal-scoring streak, but I'm going to say he's just going to fall short of 40.
I'm quite happy to take that bet. Yeah.
And if you lose those two, is that a major? I mean, is this just a major night out for me anywhere?
No, you'll have to find me first.
Yeah, absolutely. If you lose twice, yeah, absolutely. One other tie I want you to get your thoughts on, Gordon, because Dundee United, we've mentioned time and time again, are creating chances but maybe not converting them.
Yeah.
It was a big win for them at the weekend against Airdrie Onions, Blair Spittle scoring the goal. So suddenly they've got a home tie against Partick Thistle.
Yeah, they've got a home tie, but I mean, Dundee United haven't been consistent against too many teams. I mean, obviously they won at the weekend at Airdrie, but this is a Premier League team they're playing against now, Partick, and Partick have had decent form away from home too, being able to pick up some good results and not losing many goals. So we saw them at St Mirren, and although it wasn't a great game, they weren't pushed that much, Partick. So I think that's a tough game. That's why I've looked through all the draw, Peter, and I think that a lot of the games are hard to predict. There's very few. That's another one of them that's a hard one to predict. And you even take Annan at home to Morton. I mean, most of the time you think, well, Morton, that should be a win. But you look at Annan's performance and result at the weekend, you're thinking, is that a tough one for Morton to have to go there when Annan are on a high?
Yeah, it's difficult to actually speak to the Annan boys. They're still in a nightclub in the dance-off final, Ruffy, after that unbelievable result against Hamilton.
Yeah, and every right to as well. There's not many results like that come along. You've got to enjoy every minute of it, and I'm sure they'll still be celebrating as we speak.
Yeah, okay, I don't like to get to a situation where people, eventually turn against you guys, but I'm going to get your predictions now on that draw.
Yeah.
So Motherwell against Stirling Albion or Inverness?
I think Motherwell will win that because it's a home tie.
Right. Ruffy?
Yeah, by the way Motherwell's going, I'm going to go for Motherwell.
East Kilbride or Lothian Thistle against Celtic?
Celtic for me.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to predict. I think Celtic as well.
Yeah, Dundee United or Partick Thistle, Gordon?
I think Partick, maybe even with a replay, but I think Partick will go through.
Partick with a replay.
Okay, interesting. Dunfermline Ross County is a cracker still against Linlithgow Rose or Forfar?
I think that's probably the easiest. If Ross County win the replay, I think Ross County will be the team to go through.
Ross County for me.
Rangers or Kilmarnock?
I think Rangers will win that.
Ruffy?
Rangers for me.
Annan or Morton?
Morton.
That is a tough one, I think, Annan.
Oh, there you are. That's interesting. Dumbarton against Dundee or Falkirk.
Dundee.
I don't even know whether Dundee will be through. I would say probably Dundee as well.
Okay, and here's the one that's people are throwing things at the television now. Hearts or Hibs? Ruffy.
Hibs for me after a replay.
No surprise there.
Tough one. I think I'll need to go the other way. Then I'll go for Hearts. So we've got, the Hibs fans can throw things at the TV at me.
Okay then, that's the predictions. Like them or lump them. In the next part, we'll talk Ballon d'Or and we'll talk also about Celtic. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We've been discussing the draw for the 5th round of the Scottish Cup. There are a number of news stories we want to get our teeth into in this part of the programme. First of all, congratulations, Ruffy, to Falkirk manager Peter Houston. He's the manager of the month in the Championship, and Danny Rogers is the player of the month. Good double for the Bairns.
Yep, fully justified. I think they've added something to the division. Everybody's been talking about Rangers and Hibs. Now they've been winning games. They're on a fantastic run, and the manager and the players deserve a lot of credit. Obviously, the goalkeeper, the month he's had, particularly against Rangers, and the penalty save, all credit to him. And he's doing well being on loan.
I still don't think we can write them off. I think they've got a major part to play in that running.
I think they have. I mean, they're a formed team, as Ruffy said. The major thing about them is that a lot of people don't really realise that Falkirk are actually second top. Most people would assume it's Rangers, Hibs, then Falkirk, but it's goal difference. Falkirk are actually ahead of Hibs on goal difference at the moment. So I think there's still a long way to go. But as I say, in terms of form, and I think Hibs' next game and Falkirk's next game is against each other in the actual league. So that'll be an interesting one to see how that one works out. Because if Falkirk were to get the victory in that game against Hibs, you'd really need to count on them to be challenging even for second spot, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Which team do you think Rangers would like to win that game?
That's a hard one to say. Yeah, probably maybe even Falkirk would be the one, because they play Falkirk quite not long after that, so they would have an opportunity to if Falkirk were getting the points and putting Hibs slightly back, then they've got a chance to increase the lead when they play Falkirk. So they probably would go for Falkirk, I would think.
Yep. On the downside of the Scottish Cup games at the weekend, Ruffy, Celtic have suspended 3 supporters. Yet again, fans bringing flares into the ground, and there were objects thrown. Celtic have acted quickly in identifying 3 supporters. But again, I think the SFA are going to look at some singing, which again, unruly songs that shouldn't be heard at football games, and I think they could find themselves in hot water if Tony McGlennon looks and finds that they've breached the rules with these songs that we just want to see eliminated from football. Yeah,
it's a difficult one for the clubs. They're all doing as much as possible behind the scenes, and it's just that element, who spoil it for everybody. The singing in particular, they've been well averse to what they can sing and what they can't. It's a certain element who let everybody else down. As far as the flares and that are concerned, I just think the security should be better. Maybe a search going in, they're going in, and they are dangerous. There's no doubt about that, and it's good. I think the main thing is that Celtic have acted very, very quickly, and it'd be a lesson for everybody else round about them, for the 3 people who have been banned. I think especially at the weekend with that ground being so tight, I can remember, I think, a Serie A game where the goalkeeper was hit by a flare as well. So, I mean, it's a real danger to everyone. It did happen, and what surprised me is the Celtic fans, the club have been punished at UEFA in terms of it happening in European games. So I think there's one still pending, Gordon. There's one pending, yeah. So surely the fans realise the damage they're making to their club, even from the point of view of singing at times, the damage that comes from fans singing certain things. They should be looking to see what's the reaction to it. What am I doing for my club? You're not doing anything for your club if your club's going to be in trouble when you do it. And certainly they're throwing the flares, because one of them did get thrown onto the goals, I think, during I don't know if the game had actually started, but the game was held up, I think, because of some objects were thrown as well. Yeah, absolutely. Something that we need to stamp out of the game. Let me deal with another issue here, just from the fallout from the Scottish Cup weekend, before we talk about the Ballon d'Or. Was there a bit of sour grapes and maybe a lack of sportsmanship in Aberdeen's part? They're certainly getting accusations of it from Derek McInnes's reaction to Hearts' victory in the Cup, Ruffy. Yeah, I think you have to take into consideration, you know, when it all happened. You know, it's after the game, immediately after the game, the disappointment of being knocked out. You know, things are said in the heat of the moment. I would like to think it's that way. It's not part and parcel of Derek McInnes's makeup. So I think things happened just at the end of the game, and you know, they were all having a go at each other. But I think in the light of day, they would probably give each other a phone and just calm things down a bit.
Yeah, I don't think he's that type of boy, but sometimes you can get caught up in this whole fever of people. I mean, we're guilty of it. We all want Aberdeen to do well. We've maybe pushed the expectation further than what the reality is with Aberdeen.
Yeah, I think there's an emotional side in football. We know that at times that you know, things can happen on the park, off the park, on the touchlines. We've seen it many times in the past. Cup matches are always, you know, generally in a league situation you go, well, we'll get on with it because that's not going to affect us greatly. A cup, if you lose a cup game, you're out of the cup. You know what I mean? That's you no chance of taking it any further. So that's why there's generally quite a strong reaction when things happen in cup matches. And it was the big game of the day. I mean, Hearts are you know, just behind Aberdeen in the league. But it was a home draw. Everybody was tipping Aberdeen, apart from yourself, Peter. I think you did tip Hearts. I remember you did that on Saturday. But you were right. And at the end of the day, you know, there's always going to be little situations that arise. But I watched the first part of the game, and I thought Hearts were the better team. And maybe Aberdeen just feel a bit sick about the fact that, you know, they have got a trophy under their belt since Derek McInnes came in, and they maybe thought this was their year for the Scottish Cup as well. Yeah,
I'll tell you, there's a double blow because they've now lost the keeper Danny Ward. Liverpool have recalled him, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's a big blow. He's had a fantastic season. He's won a lot of points for them this year. I didn't understand it. Obviously, they've got some goalkeeping problem, but I think Derek McInnes, he's fortunate it's January. You know, it might be easier to get somebody else in. With the window being open, and I'm sure he'll be actively trying to get a top-class goalkeeper in.
Yep, this is the January transfer window. Players want to play. Ruffy Lou Longridge has gone to Wraith Rovers. He wants to try and play regular football, and I think a number of players will be looking at that. I don't know if you want to. Have you been reading the papers this morning, Ruffy? The Anthony Stokes to Hibs is gathering pace. You're still knocking my suggestion that he could end up in green and white in Edinburgh.
Yeah, I'm only reading between the lines.
What lines?
No. I think he actually, if the right club comes for him down in England, I think his preference would be to go there. But as far as Hibs are concerned, if they were to get them, that'd be a fantastic signing. I hope you're right, but I think it depends on what kind of English club's in for him.
Yeah, that might be the Alan Stubbs rabbit out of the hat that he's been talking about, but you just never know. OK, Ballon d'Or. Lionel Messi wins it for the 5th time. Very gracious when he went up to collect the award, acknowledging obviously Neymar, his teammate, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Is it the right decision?
Definitely is the right decision. I mean, I'm delighted for him. There was a lot of people were almost writing him off last year when he didn't have a great spell, and then he'd injuries as well. I can't believe that because I just think he's a joy to watch, and I think that when you get a player like that who actually, you know, makes you want to watch a game just because of what he does, his ability, he's absolutely outstanding. As I say, there's been great players along the years. When I was growing up, it was Pelé to start with, then latterly it became Maradona for me, but I just think Messi's up there in that league. Yeah. He's fantastic.
Is he the greatest of all time in your mind?
I think he probably just does, but maybe you're seeing more of him. That's the thing. Yeah. When you think about it, days gone by, Pelé, because of his record, anybody that scores 2 goals in a World Cup final is hard to ignore in terms of saying fantastic.
At 17.
At 17 years of age, yeah, exactly. So you're looking at it and thinking, it's a hard one to judge them in terms of, but I think probably in terms of individual ability, they've got different assets. Pelé was also great in the air and all that sort of thing. Maradona could run with the ball, but Messi is also very creative, makes goals, scores goals, and he's playing in a team. Obviously, every week teams are trying to stop him. He's the main player, but they can't stop him. His goal scoring record's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, right decision for you. And of course, let's not forget, it's a good point that Gordon makes there, but at least in the 21st century, he's well protected these days. I mean, when Pelé was banging in the goals, you could tackle him from the waist upwards. Yeah, I remember in the World Cup in '66, it was horrendous, you know, some of the tackles that he had to deal with. But no, I'm like Gordon, I'm pleased for Messi when he was out there injured.
when you're injured and you're out for a wee while, people start putting doubts on you. You know, is he going to be the same Messi when he comes back? And he certainly is the same Messi. You know, to score hat tricks regularly is phenomenal, and he's just a breath of fresh air, and you just love watching him running with the ball.
Yeah, I think the key issue here, Gordon, is not to play them off against each other, to celebrate the fact that we've got both of them.
Yeah,
you know, breaking records right, left and centre.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to judge one against another, because I mean there are other great players. It's hard for them, like, you know, they're competing against each other. We've got two of the best players we have had in some while in terms of Ronaldo and Messi. But you also look at the other players. Look at the form Bale's in at the moment. You look at Suarez, what he's doing. You know, Neymar. Tremendous players in the go at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, the main talking point of the programme tonight, the Scottish Cup draw. The East Kilbride chairman Mark Horner's reaction to the draw is, whoa, what a draw. This is what the Scottish Cup is all about. That's, of course, if East Kilbride can get past Lothian Thistle, that's going to be unbelievable. And right now in the capital city, I think it's fair to say everybody is bouncing. Hearts against Hibs, Ruffy. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yep, as I said earlier, I think both sets of players get into the dressing room tomorrow. That's all the gossip, that's all the talk will be about that game.
Yep, absolutely. OK, we've got reaction to the draw, of course, the Ballon d'Or as well. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow night. Joe Miller will be our boot room guest on the programme. From myself, Peter, Ruffy and Gordon Smith, thanks for watching.